I'm traveling with my family out west right now, so forgive this video from a literal rest stop, but we got a cup of coffee and some Wi-Fi, and I tuned into the #1 story in the country, which is another horrifying shooting at a religious institution that involved children, and it's awful, and it's a trend, and it's something that we really need to think about as a nation and as a country. You've seen, obviously, a spate of shootings across Christian schools, which have been the most targeted over the past few years. There was also a synagogue shooting that was a synagogue where little children were learning. This was in Michigan, and this was a few months ago. Now we have a mosque that is also a Muslim school for Muslim children in San Diego that was shot up, and there have been 5 total deaths, including 2 of the gunmen, who are all underage, which I think is very interesting part of this story. So here's what we know so far, and then I'll let the cops and the FBI give you the update. We know that this Islamic Center of San Diego, which is where, I just looked it up, which is where thousands of people attend mosque and hundreds of children attend Islamic school, was shot up by 2 gunmen. Now, there was a security guard there, and here's what we've seen in countless different situations is that if there is a security guard at the school, then the shooting is far less horrific. Something that I can't believe we don't get through our skulls. Nobody wants to see a mosque shot up. Nobody wants to see a synagogue shot up. Nobody wants to see any children ever shot, ever. I don't. You are demonically possessed if you want that. You are you are so evil. Nobody wants to see it. We can argue about how we lessen the number of shooters in this nation, but still, a guard always prevents more shootings. And we've actually seen the last 4 or 5 different school shootings that a heroic security guard taking action can eliminate the threat almost immediately. It seems like that's what's happened here. It's very strange. So there have been 3 adults that were killed, including the security guard that was there that day, that must have run interference on the actual shooters, who were found dead in their vehicle, according to authorities. It's really, really strange. So here's, first off, the eyewitness update. So an eyewitness heard something like 30 rounds fired outside of this Islamic center. This is the only eyewitness report that we have so far.
We were having lunch, and I heard at least a dozen shots. They sounded like from a semi-automatic weapon. And then there was a pause, and then another dozen shots, and again a pause, and probably another dozen, so maybe around 30 shots. That's what we heard. Then I called 911 and reported the incident. They asked me if I saw a car speeding away from the mosque, which I didn't because I was inside the house.
Understandably, you didn't want to come outside at that point. You could tell these were not firecrackers. This was not some kind of a joke. This was a serious situation.
Yes, definitely sounded like gunshots. And we were concerned and putting our heads down inside the house.
Okay, so that guy says there was just a hail of gunfire, like tons of shots that rang out, which would tend to suggest that there was a firefight that happened outside of the mosque, and the FBI and law enforcement showed up just minutes later. The response time was 4 minutes, which is awesome, by the way, for something like this. And they got a read on the actual location. They found the 2 shooters dead in the car. Now, this doesn't make any sense. The 2 shooters were 17 and 19. This I don't understand. I said one was underage. I guess one was 19. But 17 and 19, so they're very, very young. But they were found in their vehicle. So they try and use the vehicle to ram the mosque. We've seen this before. There was a truck that was tried to use to ram into a Christian school in Minnesota. There was another vehicle that was tried to use to ram into the synagogue in Michigan. So what's going on here? Not sure. How could they be found dead in their car? Well, according to the FBI, they were self-inflicted wounds. So they got into a firefight and then they shot themselves. Maybe they were hit. Maybe they were fatally hit. I don't know. And they just decided to end it all instead of bleeding out. I'm not sure. I don't know. It's extremely strange. But why would you have self-inflicted wounds for people who had just been, who had survived an attack? I don't know. 3 adults, no children. Of course, that is a very, very good thing. No children. And that's what the FBI has reported. So here's local law enforcement telling us what we know so far. It's very strange. The other thing that I didn't like about this, or that seemed very strange, odd to me, is that the law enforcement officer says we're treating this as a hate crime until we get more information. Seems like you should probably get more information, then classify it as a hate crime. So you'll see that in this clip. But, ladies and gentlemen, here it is. This is what we know so far. Pray for the security of all of our children. Pray for the security of everyone who's going to school these days. It does seem incredibly dangerous out there. And get security guards at schools. There you go.
Yeah, so thank you for asking that. How many total deceased? So we have our 2 suspects that are deceased. We have 3 victims at the Islamic Center. All 3 are adults, for a total of 5 people that are deceased related to this incident.
I wanted to confirm the Bolo, the county-wide one that went out this morning. Is that what you connected to this? The dad that called 911 saying that his son stole his car and his shot guns were missing. Is that one of the suspects here?
Yeah, so we are actively investigating that right now to figure out and piece together exactly what led to this moment. And as we get that information confirmed and verified, we'll be back out here providing more details.
What we know at this time is that there are 3 deceased adult males, and those are the presumed victims at this time. On behalf of the FBI, we extend our sincerest condolences to the family and friends of the victims of this tragic incident. There were 2 subjects, both teenagers, and both are confirmed deceased. I want to thank our local law enforcement partners for their quick response that undoubtedly saved the additional loss of life. The FBI is meticulously assessing the situation and is prepared to employ every resource we have to uncover the facts of this incident. No community should have to go through such a tragic incident, but we will work tirelessly until we learn the truth. We have on scene a number of special agents, task force officers, our evidence response personnel, victim specialists, and many more. As we work through this investigation, we ask for your patience to determine any motive and facts associated with the shooting.